All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. Hope you guys are chilling. I had a request to check out a Scap Attack video. Big surprise, right? This one is called How Shaq and Kobe Powered the Greatest Team Ever. Strong statement. But, you know, those 3 years before they fell apart, I kind of did have the impression that was the greatest team I've ever seen. No, they didn't break the records of the Bulls or anybody like that, but as far as like pure dominance, I wasn't sure if there was if I ever had seen, still to this day, a better team than that. Obviously, I'd make an argument for the 92 Bulls. I'd make an argument for the 96 Bulls and also the 97 Bulls and the 93 Bulls. But I'll put that Lakers team right there at that top tier, that Mount Rushmore of just amazing teams. But anyways, let's see what Scap has to say about this. We know Scap's a huge Kobe fan, so this should be interesting. I'm gonna link the original video down below in the description, like I always do. So if you want to check it out without me, go right ahead. And if you haven't subbed to Scap yet, then that's weird. But, you know, the link's down there if you want to do it. And everybody else, please leave a like on this video. It helps out a ton. And without further ado, let's check this out. Here we go.
Well, throughout the course of NBA history, we have seen a varying amount of all-time great teams, with many holding some stake in the claim for the top spot. Teams most notably referenced on the short list include the 1971-72 Lakers, a pairing of Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and Gail Goodrich, a team that still holds the all-time NBA record for single-season net differential and the record for the longest win streak ever at 33 games. They won a then record 69 games overall in the regular season, which stood as the record until another notable team set the new mark in 95-96. Of course, that was the famed 72-10 Chicago Bulls season, what is considered by many to be the marquee team of the greatest player of all time.
It's always been interesting for me when it comes to these Bulls teams. Like I said, 92, 93, 96, 97, right? It's not because of the roster. It's just because of just how amazing they played as a unit. So it's not that whole star-studded thing that you'd expect out of the greatest team of all time. It was just one major star and then the best role players you could ever ask for.
For that reason, many consider that team to be the best ever. But there are undeniably others which warrant consideration here, such as the 1970-71 Milwaukee Bucks, a team that is still second all-time in single-season net differential, second only to that aforementioned 72 Lakers squad. This Bucks team was led by Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And speaking of Kareem, of course, you have to factor in his and Magic's best team, which is generally regarded as the 1986-87 Lakers. That year, Magic Johnson won the league MVP, the Lakers won 65 games, and went on to beat the Bird Celtics in the NBA Finals behind a legendary trio of Magic, Kareem, and James Worthy. Speaking of those Bird Celtics, though, we would be remiss to not mention their 1985-86 season.
100%. Yeah, no, the Scap's dead on so far.
That season, Boston won 67 games, had league MVP Larry Bird, and boasted a roster of players that would include 5 eventual Hall of Famers.
This is another example of, like, you've got one star and then just the most amazing role players you could ever ask for. When you got a guy like Bill Walton or Kevin McHale right up here on the screen that are considered role players, you're in a good position to win.
Even garnering consideration by many in this field is the 2016-17 Golden State Warriors, a team that won 73 regular season games the season prior and then added Kevin Durant to that roster. All of these teams present a worthy case, especially when you are factoring in the regular season. But there is a reason the aforementioned 73-9 Warriors do not make this list.
No, they
and
don't.
are never going to be considered as one of the greatest teams in league history.
Agreed. Job not done. Didn't finish the job.
Because as the 95-96 Bulls team coined the slogan heading into the playoffs on the heels of that 72-10 regular season campaign, it doesn't mean a thing if you don't get that ring. So when I considered who is the best team in NBA history, I am considering what team would beat all of the others. And for whatever reason, a team that gets mentioned far too little in these kinds of discussions is, yes, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers of the early 2000s.
Hey, okay, Scap's onto something. It's true. We don't usually throw this team in there. That's a scary place to pause right now. My bad. But yeah, we don't tend to throw this team in the mix, but they should be. They really should. And they three-peated with this freaking lineup, for crying out loud.
And sure, the personal differences and pettiness of both of their star players at the time prevented this team from winning a couple of more titles together, but at their peak, this team was as good or better than any team in NBA history.
Yeah.
They are, after all, one of only 3 teams to win 3 consecutive titles in the post-merger modern NBA history, spanning nearly 50 years since 1976. Jordan's Bulls did it twice, and this Lakers squad did it once. That's it. That's the list of teams that have pulled off a three-peat in modern history.
Yeah.
And the best year they had was unquestionably the 2000-2001 season. The Lakers were coming off of their title defense from a season prior, and when evaluating their regular season, this team doesn't look very impressive at all.
What was their record?
Here,
I'm sorry.
56-26 record.
56 wins. Damn. So it's true. They weren't dominant at all in the regular season. I was surprised they weren't just blowing teams out. They were so damn dominant in the playoffs.
Which wasn't even good enough to lead their own conference that season.
Yeah.
However, the Lakers were dealing with a number of injuries that year, most notably to Kobe Bryant, a typical Iron Man player who ended up missing 14 games that season, and starting point guard Derek Fisher, who ended up playing in only 20 regular season games overall. So while the Lakers did struggle to find consistency through much of the regular season, the Tim Duncan-led San Antonio Spurs, who at the time were just 1 year removed from their own championship, ended up securing the 1 seed in the Western Conference. Oh, and speaking of the West, it was absolutely stacked that season. The path to a title defense would not be easy for this Lakers team, as first up would be the 50-win Portland Trailblazers, followed by the 55-win Sacramento Kings in the West semis.
Yeah, Sacramento was no joke. Neither were the Jailblazers back then. But Sacramento, man, I was pulling for Sacramento. I know one of you guys with the Sacramento Kings logo, who's usually commenting. Man, how'd you feel about that? Were you around for that? Because that whole period of time, I was pulling for Sacramento to get over the hump and beat the Lakers. But it never happened. It never happened.
Then the number 1 seed Tim Duncan-led San Antonio Spurs in the West Finals.
Yeah.
And that was all before arriving in the NBA Finals to find the 56-win Philadelphia 76ers waiting for them, led by that year's league MVP Allen Iverson, that year's Defensive Player of the Year award winner Dikembe Mutombo, and that season's 6th Man of the Year award winner Aaron McKie. And this gauntlet of 50-win opponents made this Lakers team one of just 5 teams in NBA history that would have to face 4 50-plus win opponents throughout the course of one single playoff run.
And it just shows the pure dominance of a guy like Prime Shaq. Because honestly, it would have been a pretty even matchup between Philly and the Lakers that year in the finals. But Shaq was the big difference maker. Who the hell is supposed to guard Shaq? And I know Dikembe Mutombo is one of the greatest defenders of all time, but no, dude, you can't. You can't. Shaq's double the size. If you take everything into account, that amount of strength that Shaq had in his prime before he got like overweight was ridiculous.
In fact, based on the opponent's win-loss record, this was the second most challenging run in NBA history. Not just that though, using the SRS model or simple rating system, this is rated as the second most difficult championship run in NBA history, behind only the 1995 Houston Rockets. Despite the fact this was clearly one of the hardest paths ever navigated, this Lakers team had arguably the most dominant run ever. They lost only one game in the entire playoff run. And that one single loss was in overtime to the 76ers, who again had the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year that season. And that's it. That was the only loss. The 93.75% win percentage in that playoff run is second all-time by just a shade of a percent, because these Lakers played only a best of 5 in the first round. Their average margin of differential for the 16-game playoff run was 12.8 points per game. That is also second best ever. So a team facing one of the hardest paths ever with the most challenging collection of opponents also obliterated that field at a historic rate. But wait, there's more. This team ended the regular season on an 8-game winning streak, so they went 24-1 in their final 25 games that season, with the sole blemish being a single overtime loss to the league MVP.
Good God, yeah. So when they hit their stride, they really freaking hit their stride. I'm assuming that's when Kobe came back towards the end of the year, and Derek Fisher was also back by the end of the year, and they just went into cruise control and started dominating everybody like they should
that season. So just how was this team that dominant against that field? Well, it's pretty simple actually. They had the two best players in the NBA.
Yep.
Oh, sure. I know. Kobe Bryant was only second team All-NBA that season, and of course second team All-NBA defense. But that was because he played in only 68 games. The next season, when he played 80 games, he took his rightful place on the first team. But in those 2001 playoffs, Kobe Bryant led the league in win shares and was third in value over replacement, above Shaq at fourth, while Shaq led the postseason in player efficiency rating. And for the playoffs, a postseason where average scoring was only 93.5 points per game that year, Shaq and Kobe dropped stupefying stat lines. O'Neal with a line of 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 assists.
Good God.
Kobe with a line of 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. And in all, over the last 5 seasons this tandem played in LA together, from 2000 through 2004, they went to 4 NBA Finals and won 3 straight. While Shaq made 5 All-NBA first teams and 3 second-team defenses, Kobe made 3 first-team selections and 2 second teams to go along with his 3 first-team defensive selections and 2 second-team defensive selections. Simply put, these were the best 2 players in the league.
Yeah.
They were inarguably, at the very least, the best perimeter player and the best front court player on earth at the same time on the same team.
Yeah, I'm going to be fair. I don't agree with everything Shaq says, but I do think this was the best 1-2 punch we've ever seen. Especially because, like Scap just said, you got one on the perimeter and one right there in the post. And at the time, I mean, you could argue that the best perimeter player at that time, and definitely the most dominant person in the post. So pick your poison. What are you going to do? Who are you going to double team? How are you going to defend either of these guys, let alone both of them at the same time? Good freaking luck.
And just how many teams ever can make that claim? How many teams could say that they had arguably the best 2 players in the league on the same team at the same time? Even the famed 80s Lakers, which paired 2 possible top 5 all-time players in Kareem and Magic, did not have overlapping primes like Kobe and Shaq.
I mean, Steph and Kevin Durant at that time, you can make an argument for that because both of them were in their primes. I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head, though.
In their aforementioned best season of 1986-87, Kareem was 39 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And what about Jordan and Pippen on that 72-win team? Not even close.
Yeah, no.
Bird and McHale, stop it.
Nope.
The Shaq-Kobe Lakers may well have been extremely top-heavy, but at the top was the best duo in NBA history who perfectly complemented one another from a positional standpoint, which is why this team in 2001 was so utterly dominant and should sit atop the throne as the best single-season team in NBA history.
It's a good argument, Scap. It's a very good argument. I know you're a little biased because, Kobe's your guy, but you might be dead right on this. You really might be dead on right. I felt that way back when it was happening live, and I've never quite seen a team more dominant than that. Just pure domination wise. But it is hard because the Bulls in 96, man, they were blowing teams out by 20. I mean, on a regular basis. That's how we got to love those guys like Jud Buechler and Randy Brown and stuff, because Bill Wennington, because they were coming in during cleanup time and playing the entire fourth quarters, and the crowd loved them. They were getting standing ovations and everything because they got to play a quarter of the game, most games. But then when it got to the finals, the Bulls did struggle against the Supersonics. So the Lakers did have a more dominant. So the Bulls were more dominant in the regular season, and the Lakers were less. But then the Lakers dominated more in the playoffs. It's a hard argument, man. I can't say one way or another. I wish we can go back in time somehow and pin the 96 Bulls against this Laker team right here. And I wish we can go back in time and pin the 92 Bulls against this team as well, and just see what the hell happens. It would be a must-see TV, I'll tell you that much. Anyways, what's your guys' take? I see Scap here, and I can't really argue against him here. I think he might be right. Now, I don't know if I want to say like the greatest team, because then we're looking at like individual players, but just as far as like a team that dominated the rest of the league, can you guys think of any team that dominated past this point of what the Lakers did? Anyways, let me know, you guys. We'll have a conversation about it down low in the comments. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you all very soon, okay? All right. Peace out.